So it's about time that I share my story. Y'all, I have had such an interesting styling journey, and I really wanted to do this video to obviously share my journey, but to also motivate and encourage those of you who may be stepping into the styling industry and are very unsure as to how it may play out. Or maybe you've been in the styling industry, maybe you're a little bit more seasoned and you're just like, does it really get any better? Does it really have to be this hard? Honestly, truly, this industry is an interesting industry to be in. It has been around for years, but still kind of feels like it's new. A lot of people still don't really know exactly what it can look like for them. There are so many different ways to get into the industry, so many different stylist types to explore. And it's just a lot, y'all. It's really a lot. So I really wanted to do this video to obviously, like I said, share my journey, but to just give you a behind the scenes of what my journey actually has looked like, how it has helped to grow my faith, how it has helped to grow my persistence and my resilience as a business owner, and why I'm even still here, because I could have gave up a long time ago. I know so many stylists have been styling for maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years, or even 2 years. And they're like, I don't know if I could do this anymore. This is harder than I thought. And yeah, it's a challenging industry to be in. But just because you come across challenges doesn't mean that you're supposed to give up or that you're supposed to stop. Honestly, this industry is not for the weak. So if you can't handle people talking to you crazy, or maybe even having problems trying to figure out where to get clothes, or even just keeping your business afloat during a pandemic, then this industry may not be for you. Put your seatbelts on. This is about to be a fun and interesting ride. I'm gonna start from the beginning, y'all, and I don't want this to be a long video, so I'm gonna pace myself. I'm really gonna make sure I only pinpoint the important parts of my journey and the lessons that I've learned. But I'm starting from the beginning, y'all. I have shared parts of my story in a few workshops and a few webinars and masterclasses that I've hosted for PSU and Black Women Who Style, but I haven't fully told my entire story. So I'm excited to share that with you all today. For those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those of you who are always here, welcome back. My name is Kristen Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of PSU, which is Project Style University, where I help first generation personal stylists turn their passion for styling into a profitable business. I do that through coaching and mentorship. I have been styling since 2013, y'all. And honestly, that's where this journey is going to start. So let's get started, because I'm excited. All right, y'all. So let's start with 2013. Let's take it back. So 2013, y'all, I was in college. I think I was a sophomore going into junior year. And this was the summer of 2013. So even before the summer, or honestly, y'all, I can't remember. But I know the summer of 2013, I decided that I wanted to start a blog. Literally sitting in my room at home, because I was home for the summer from college. And I wanted a space where I could share my fashion sense, share my what I was buying, sharing my purchases, where I was going as far as different events, and just different tips and things that I thought was important for women my age to know. So I started a blog on a platform called Blogspot, and I named my blog Fashion Sense. And I loved it. I was blogging like every day, y'all, sharing different tips, talking about different events, doing a little bit of everything. And that kind of started my love for my love for fashion had always existed, but that kind of is where it started, where I had full control over what my brand was. I literally started a brand and created a brand and didn't even realize it at the time. That same year, I got my first retail job at a store called Children's Place. I knew that I wanted to get into fashion, but didn't really have any experience. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if I can get a retail job, that would help. So I got my first retail job. Shout out to Charlotte. She was the manager at the time at the Children's Place in Columbia Mall, if you're familiar with Maryland. I didn't have any retail experience at the time. The only two jobs I had on my resume was Sonic and Spring Grove. And Spring Grove was a mental hospital that I interned at during the summer. So Children's Place was my first ever retail job. So I was so thankful to have been able to get that job. Very blessed, because again, I did not have any experience in retail, y'all. So she was taking a chance on me. And guess what? It was the best job that I ever had, because it really started me on my styling journey. So I got that job. I started the blog. And that was it for 2013. Oh, when did I start that internship? Was that in 2014? And during the summer, I think I was having a conversation. Well, I know I was having a conversation with my sister about what I wanted to do in fashion. And I started expressing to her how I wanted to be a stylist, but I needed some experience. So I was able to secure the job. I started the blog, and she actually spoke with one of her friends who ended up having a cousin that owned a local boutique here in Baltimore City. So how funny is that? She also called herself a stylist. She went to New York and like purchased different things and sold it in her boutique. So she, hired me as her intern. Obviously, I didn't get paid, so I didn't make any money, but thankfully I had the Children's Place job, so that was holding me over. And while I was interning for her, the boutique was called Top Kitty Boutique. It's no longer a thing. But while I was interning for her, towards the end of the internship in August, I actually helped her and assisted her with Baltimore Fashion Week. So that was my first time attending Baltimore Fashion Week, because at the time I didn't even know Baltimore had a fashion week. And then two, I was able to help her dress the models. I was able to help her curate outfits and do all the things. So it was such a great and fun experience that I honestly did not expect was even going to happen. So that kind of started like everything. So 2014, I was back in school. I was now I think it was the spring of 2014. So I was definitely a junior. And I, again, was still in the process of gaining more experience and now building my portfolio. So I was in a modeling troupe. I was also in an organization called Bombshells in Business, but it was actually founded and ran by Shelby Ivy Christie, who went to North Carolina A&T. We connected because I think we had a class together. She was originally from Charlotte, went to A&T. I think she dropped out and then came back. And when she came back, I was a student. If you have not heard of Shelby Ivy Christie, she actually is a fashion historian now. And she has a ton of followers and just a lot of reach on social media, both on LinkedIn, on IG. And she has just done some really, really amazing work in the fashion industry. So I'm hoping to reconnect with her and get her on the podcast. But other than that, she was the founder. So I was a secretary of Bombshells in Business, and with that, I was able to just really get my hands dirty when it came to like just learning how it is to like manage people, how to work with others. And it kind of got me excited to really start pursuing my styling and fashion career. So I actually styled Shelby quite a few times. I think that was in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, because she was also in broadcast and journalism. So she was on like the A&T News. I think that's what it was called. So I styled her for some of the segments. And then one of the students that was in Bombshells in Business, I can't remember what her role was, but she was a model. Another person who was in Bombshells in Business, he was actually our only guy at the time. I can't remember his role, but he was a photographer. So they were my peers. So we got together and I literally did my first photo shoot at school in the photographer's studio. And he lived off campus, had his own apartment, and he created like this studio in his apartment. So went into his apartment, got some clothes from the thrift store and just pulled some pieces from my closet, and I styled my friend Major, who was a model. As you can see, the photos. The theme was like a American Apparel type of feel, so that's what we were going for. So just really stretchy clothes, high-rise jeans, bodysuits, just really cool prints and things like that. So that was my first time shooting. And like I said, that was the spring of 2014. So when I came back home, I'm pretty sure I did quite a few shoots with Tone. I honestly can't remember the first time I met her, to be completely honest. It's been so long. She wanted to curate a shoot. She also brought her friends and peers together. I think Tiana did makeup. Sydney did hair. Of course, we both pulled pieces. Well, she pulled pieces actually from one of her mom's friends. Her mom is also in fashion, or was in fashion. And I assisted her. So, and then we did like a model call and everything. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the summer of 2014. So still building my portfolio, still getting my feet wet. At the time, Tone was doing a lot of editorial styling. So that's what I was doing. I was doing editorial styling, y'all. So just random themes. I would curate looks that weren't something that people would wear every day, but also kind of what somebody could wear every day. And I think that's why I kind of transitioned out of editorial styling, because it really wasn't I kind of felt like I was forcing it. Like I was basically conforming to what I thought styling looked like. And it was only because I didn't really know what styling was. I didn't really know what it could look like for me. I just knew that I was interested in it. So after working with Tone for a couple of years and just doing editorial styling for a couple of years, I transitioned into a different sector. But we'll get to that. We will get to that. So that was 2014. 2015, it was my last year of being in school. So I was basically a senior in college. The summer of 2015, I wanted to, at the top of 2015, I was supposed to originally graduate from college in the spring of 2015. But with me being undecided my freshman year and then finally transitioning into business as being my major for college, it kind of set me back a semester. And I did not realize it until it was about time to graduate, which sucks. So if you're familiar with going to college, then you know you get a curriculum. And in the curriculum, it basically breaks down all of the classes and all of the courses that you're supposed to take, how many credits you're supposed to take in order to graduate in the time that you want to graduate. So with my school, North Carolina A&T, and the major that I was in, the curriculum changed quite a few times while I was there. I had a different advisor every single year. And it just was I just didn't have a straight path for myself when I was in school. So it sucked because when the curriculum changed, it set me back another semester. So although I was originally supposed to graduate May of 2015, I did not graduate until December of 2015. But aside from that, when I realized that, I would possibly be coming back to school, I still wanted to move like I was graduating, if that makes sense. So I started looking for internships, and I saw that Nordstrom had a retail management internship. I don't know if I found it or if my sister sent it to me. But regardless, I was studying business management, so it made sense. So in February, I remember going to the internship interview, and it was cold. I took the train home. And so crazy, when I was at the interview, I saw a girl that I had went to middle school with, who obviously was from Baltimore too, and was interviewing for the internship. And she's like, "Oh, hey, Kristen, what are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm interviewing for the internship." She's like, "Oh, you came all the way back here just for an internship?" And I'm like, yeah, like what? So even then, I was making sacrifices for my career and for my business. Yeah, I was going to school in North Carolina, but I also saw an internship that I could take at home during the summer that was paid. Hell yeah, I'm coming home to be interviewed. Like what? Why wouldn't I? And it's so funny because the internship was literally at the mall that I was working at Children's Place. It's just a funny full circle moment for me. And I ended up getting the internship. She did not. I loved it. It was a lot of work. It was only for 2 months. So the summer of 2015, literally did not have my own car. I was driving my mother's car. Had to wake up at the crack of dawn, take my mother to work, or take her to the train station, then take myself to work. And once I got off of work, the internship, had to go pick my mom up. It was a lot, y'all. And I was thankful for it though, because one, it was paid, and two, I knew that once the internship was over, I had an opportunity to then be a manager for one of the departments. But since I ended up having to go back to school, it ended up not working out. But other than that, the internship was great because it really gave me the opportunity to work with other teams, really learn the departments, really learn about different brands, learn how to communicate with people, customer service, all the things. And it really just gave me a peek inside what it looks like to manage a team and to manage a team at a retail store. So at the time, my goal wasn't to work in retail. My goal wasn't to be a manager of a store. Like, I actually never wanted to do that, but I knew that that internship would give me the experience that I needed to, one, get a real job in the styling or even just in the fashion industry, because Nordstrom is a worldwide brand that everybody knows about. And I knew that having that on my resume was going to get me somewhere. And two, I felt as though what I was going to learn there was just going to give me more of an experience that I needed. So it was a great experience. Although I didn't get a chance to move forward with the job afterwards, it was still a great experience. So once that internship was over, I was actually happy that it was paid because I was looking to get a car. So with me going back to school, some of my friends had graduated, but then it was a small group of us who were still in school going through the same thing. I knew that when I was in school, I had two roommates, and one of them who had the car was the one that actually graduated. Me and my other roommate did not have a car. So I knew that when I went back to school, I needed to have some form of transportation because I was living off campus. So I had got the internship, was secured the internship, and it was paid, and I was thankful for it because I knew that I would be able to purchase a car after that internship was over so I could have a car to go back to school. So in either July, mind you, I was going back to school in August of 2015 to finish out my last semester. I didn't have a lot of time to get a car, but all summer I was saving up and putting money aside. So it was probably July when I was driving home from the internship, and I told y'all this internship was a lot. Like, it was literally a 9 to 5, y'all. I was tired, and I was this close to being home. I fall asleep behind the wheel of my mom's car, and I get into a car accident. Y'all, I literally it was so crazy to think about. And this is how I know that God is real. I was dozing off behind the wheel, and I remember being awake and going up a hill. And right after I went up that hill, my eyes closed again. And they open right back up as soon as I get this close to a car that was in front of me. So I'm going straight. The car is trying to make a left turn. And it's not like it's a bunch of lanes. It's a 1-lane street because I'm in a neighborhood. So as soon as I almost hit the car, I open my eyes and I swerve to the left to get from behind the car. My car then, or my mom's car, the passenger seat wheel then goes up on top of the side of the woman's car. So I'm in the air, like, this is all happening in slow motion in my mind. Literally in the air, going up on top of the car, and I slam on the brakes right before I hit a light pole. I'm perfectly fine. No scratches on me because I was asleep and I woke up like as it was happening. I wasn't like shook. I was the calmest I've ever been. Like, I've never been that calm in my life. And I really think it was because I was asleep, and obviously God's hand was on me, but wasn't hurt. The woman whose car I ran up on, she was fine. I think she was just a little shook from what was going on, but she was okay. Her son was okay. Like, her son was in the back seat. Everybody was fine. Obviously, she was confused. She didn't understand like what had happened. But y'all, I was literally asleep. So I'm thinking, dang, like this had to happen. I knew I needed and wanted to get my car before I went back to school. Now I gotta pay for this. Now I gotta pay for that. Now I gotta do this. And I was so irritated. My father had to come and pick me up. We had to tow the car, get the car towed because it wasn't drivable. It was all out of alignment because I literally snatched the wheel around to move out of the way of the other car. And it was just a lot. I definitely did pay for the damages, but I still was able to get a car, y'all, right before I went back to school. Right before I went back to school. Literally got a car August 2nd, 2015, y'all. And that was one of the most challenging ever experiences in my life. Looking for a car, my first car. Mind you, I had seen quite a few cars and I saw some that I loved, saw some that I wanted, but the price just wasn't right. The mileage just wasn't right. And thankfully I had my dad to like help me and assist me through this process. But it was one night I was up online searching and I found the car. I thought it was nice. I thought the mileage was good. The year was good. At the time, it was a 2011. We were in 2015, so it wasn't that old. And it was different. It was so different. I had never seen a car like it before. So I think that next day or a few days later, we went to go see it, literally signed the papers, and I was able to buy the car. So I had a car to drive back to school for my last semester in 2015. Now, this has nothing to do with anything, but on my way to school, I did end up scratching my car. I was getting gas and the gas tank the pump that I had pulled up to was out of service. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go around on the other side, go around the bend. And I got too close to the pump and I literally scratched the side of my car, y'all. I had only had the car maybe 2 days. I was pissed. I immediately drove back home and was like, and my parents is like, how the hell did you? I'm like, look, it wasn't on purpose. It was by accident, but I wasn't doing anything. I was literally just trying to get gas. So I've had that car. I've had that car since 2011. Still have that car. It's 2025. And that scratch is still there. So yeah, I still have no understanding as to why or how that happened, but it happened. But anyway, moving on to 2016. So 2016, I had just graduated from college in December of 2015. And I'm pretty sure I found the job that I got the year before. So I was in my dorm room or in my apartment at school looking for jobs. I didn't have anything lined up after graduation and I was a little nervous, y'all. I knew those student loans were about to kick in and I just wasn't sure what I was about to do. I knew that I wanted to work in fashion. I was thankful for my Nordstrom internship experience. I was thankful for my Children's Place retail experience and thankful for the internship at Top Kitty. But I was trying to get a fashion job. Like I didn't want to just do anything. So I ended up coming across a brand called Trunk Club. I applied, I got interviewed, and it was an interesting interview experience because I had a trial period. So they gave me a certain amount of days to kind of basically do what I was going to be doing at the job, but on my own. At the time, I didn't really have a huge network. I just had my friends from high school, some of my friends from college, my parents, my sister's friends, like a little bit of everybody. And nobody really knew what I was trying to do. So I had to literally explain to them like, hey, I'm a stylist. I'm trying to go through this trial period for a brand I want to work for called Trunk Club. I basically just need you to sign up for the service, order some stuff for free to try on, keep what you love and just send back what you don't love. That's all I need you to do. And I also had to get people to come into the Trunk Club showroom to have an appointment, like an in-person appointment. So it was a lot. It definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone because, like I said, I didn't have a huge network. I didn't really know what was going to come out of this, and it was just very different from what I was used to. But I pushed myself, and by the skin of my teeth, I made it through the round of my trial period, and I was able to secure the job at Trunk Club. Thank God. So I started working at Trunk Club February 2nd of 2020. of 2016, either February 2nd or February 8th. Don't ask me why I know these dates, but my career, like, the only reason why I know what was happening in my life during that time is because of my like styling journey. So like 2016 was a cool year because I had got my first big girl job working at a brand called Trunk Club. I started in February and they ended up letting me go, y'all, 8 months later. But it was such a great experience because it was in DC. So I was commuting every day to DC, another sacrifice that I made for myself. And I keep saying this because this industry is going to be full of times where you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice your time. You're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things to be successful in this industry. And I started sacrificing early on. Like, whatever I needed to do was what I was trying to do to be in this industry and to gain the knowledge that I needed to gain. So that was another sacrifice that I made, working in a city that I did not live in. So I knew that me committing to this job meant that I had to commute every single day, even sometimes on Saturdays. So y'all, I literally had to catch the MARC train. I had to drive to the MARC train, maybe about 30 minutes from my house, catch that by like 6:30, 7 o'clock ish, get on that, take that all the way to DC. So that was about an hour of a commute going. Get off the MARC train, get on the metro, ride it for 2 stops, get off and walk a block to my job. And then once I was off, I did it all over again. I ain't get home probably till like 7 o'clock every single day. It was a lot, y'all. It was a lot, but I really enjoyed working at Trunk Club. I learned so much about styling body types, styling body shapes, different brands, how to work with men, how to work with women. And while I was there, that job was really strictly just for men. We did custom suiting and we did styling for men. And then it just so happens that the year that they bring me on, they decide to now start offering the styling service to women. So I was also styling not just men, but also women. So y'all, I was able to start booking appointments. They got me back on LinkedIn. I had already had a LinkedIn from college, but I kind of rebranded myself on LinkedIn, started reaching out to people, having appointments, doing a lot of in-person appointments, which was pushing me out of my comfort zone, y'all. I had never done anything like that before, and now I'm literally doing it in my business. And I'm super confident doing it because of Trunk Club. I was calling people, cold calling people. I was getting hung up on. I was getting cussed out, a little bit of everything. So it was definitely a job that molded me into the stylist that I am today. So 8 months later, September of 2016, they let me go. Literally cried at my desk, had no idea what I was about to do. My student loans had already kicked in. And I knew that I needed money. What I did not mention at the time was that I kind of started talking to a guy, and the guy was Jordan, who is now my boyfriend. In 2015, we actually both graduated from college. December of 2015, we both graduated from college. He graduated from Towson. I graduated from A&T. He had a graduation party. I came to his graduation party. We kind of reconnected. We were already connected. We went to the same high school, but we kind of reconnected because he went to school at home. I went to school out of state. So we started talking in 2016. He was actually one of my clients who came in and helped me to get the job at Trunk Club. So throughout this whole entire time that I'm working at Trunk Club, I'm talking to him. It gets to a point where I get let go. I lose my job. So I'm expressing to him how I feel, how sad I am, how distraught I am. And about a week later, I end up getting another job. And that job was found by him. So he was just perusing Craigslist. I don't even know if Craigslist is even still a thing, but he was on Craigslist and he found me a job as an executive assistant for a designer in Baltimore. I'm like, okay. He was looking out. And obviously, God was looking out. So I was out of a job, y'all, for about a week, 2 weeks, and my money was running out. So when Jordan found me that job and, God made it work, I ended up interviewing and I got hired right on the spot. So at the end of 2016, I want to say I started maybe in October of 2016. and I worked for that designer for about 10 months. So this was a small business, my first time working for a small business. I already had experience kind of just being organized and having administrative skills. So I got all of that from Trunk Club. I got all of that from just being who I am. I'm just naturally an organized person. So I was literally her assistant, y'all. So I scheduled calls, I scheduled meetings, I scheduled fittings, I ran errands for her, I did all the things. Honestly, she did not pay me enough for all the things that I was doing for her. But it was literally 4 of us. It was her 2 seamstress, and then me. So it was an interesting job to have. While I was working with her, I met quite a few people. I was able to tap into her network. And I actually ended up meeting the owner of a spa called About Faces. So when I decided that my time was up, this was 2017. So started working for her in October 2016, and now we're well into 2017, and I was kind of starting to get over it. I no longer was excited about going to work. I no longer was interested in working for her, and I was kind of over it. So I had made the decision to resign. But while I was there working with her, I started blogging again. I started curating newsletters and sending emails out for her, and then it encouraged me and inspired me to do the same thing for my brand. Mind you, I had already had my brand and my business. I was still blogging. I had at this point, I think I rebranded my business because I got the experience working at Trunk Club. I was now drawn to personal styling. So that's when I transitioned. So like I told y'all in the beginning of the video, I started in the editorial space and then transitioned into personal styling. And 2016 was the year that I transitioned. So now that I'm into personal styling, I have rebranded my business a bit. I got the opportunity to do everything that I was doing for Ella for my brand and myself. So I started sending out newsletters, started blogging again, and really just started creating content that way and posting on social media more consistently. I think that's when I started my own Instagram for my brand and business, if I'm not mistaken, but I honestly can't remember when I did that. For a long time, I only had one page, y'all, which I want to say I kind of miss. I'm not gonna lie. Having one social media page is like love. Having multiple pages is just a lot, and it can be a lot if you aren't organized and if you can't keep everything together. So thankfully I am organized, but it's still a lot. But I want to say around that time was when I created a separate page for my business. I was starting to take myself a little bit more seriously in the styling realm. So started working at About Faces in 2017, and I also hired a coach. I don't know if you all know, but Irregular Exposure, Jessica Williams, she's also from Baltimore, and at the time she had the Fashionpreneur Academy, and I signed on to that course because I wanted to just learn more about being a business owner, not necessarily being a designer or anything like that. And from there, she encouraged me to get my LLC for my business and my brand. So I secured my LLC for SCB Luxury Styling in September of 2017.